Hello, everyone.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hey.
All right, we've got everyone here. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Excited to have everyone here. This is our first community Q&A. We're kind of doing this as an experiment. Honestly, it's something we've been wanting to do for a little while now. We wanted to connect with y'all a little bit more than just, I think on the For You feed, it's just text. And so hopefully having video is more interesting and makes us feel like we get to know you and for all of you to get to know us. Yeah, really excited about it. Let's see. We also wanted to use this time to just like hear from all of you what questions you have for us. At the end of the day, we're a small private company. We're a bunch of people who love books, and so we want to hear what's on your mind, what you're curious about, share any feedback that you have, all that type of stuff. We thought with this direct messaging launch that we would make it kind of a little bit more oriented around direct messaging, but we can go on to other topics if helpful. Yeah, aside from that, let's do some introductions. So my name is Chris. I'm the head of product here at Fable. I live in San Francisco. And speaking of San Francisco, I see, Mike, you have a Golden Gate Bridge background. Do you want to do the next intro?
Sure. Hello, my name is Michael Allen Huff, and I've been an engineer here at Fable for 4 years on the native mobile applications.
Awesome. All right, and let's see, Ellen.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Ellen. I'm the recruiter and HR rep for Fable. So I handle a lot on the people side of the business. But like Chris said, we're a small team. So I think we all just kind of pitch in where we can. So I also help support customer support. I do some of our catalog management and I run our scribes program, which is a group of volunteer users who help keep our catalog up to date. And I am in Kansas City.
All right, thank you. And Jess.
Hey, I'm Jess. I'm a product designer here at Fable. I've been here about 2 years now, and I helped with a lot of the experience design of this feature, and I'm based in Detroit.
Awesome, thank you. And Jason is also online. He's helping to run kind of behind the scenes here, but he's on the Fable editorial side and also lives in California. All right, well, let's go over some ground rules for this session. No actual rules, just how this will work. So a couple of things with this Zoom setup. We have a Q&A button that hopefully all of you have access to, and you should be able to type in your questions, submit questions there. So we'll use that. We also have a chat, and so feel free to put any other conversations in there. We were originally like not going to have the chat, and then we realized like we want to make this feel a little bit more like we are here just as a group, as a community. And so yeah, feel free to chime in with thoughts there. Let's see, on top of that, Ellen is going to be a little bit of playing the host here. So Ellen has a handful of questions that she'll ask about direct messaging and kind of how we built that project and some of the reasoning for that. But then also we would love to take any Q&A questions that come in. She'll kind of help moderate and decide which questions to answer, all that kind of stuff. Let's see, before we jump into the actual meat of it, for anyone who's willing to share, I would love to hear maybe what's your name and where are you calling in from, and what's a fun thing that we could ask as well.
I think the obvious question is, what are you reading?
Oh my gosh, how did we not?
Come
We were
on.
supposed to do that for the intros. Wait, Ellen, can you kick us off? What are you reading?
I'm reading The Foxwife by Yang Shi, and I highly recommend basically anything she has ever read, specifically this and The Night Tiger. Yeah, check it out. The Foxwife. It's very good.
What genre?
Kind of fantasy, I guess. Like it has some mystical, magical elements, but this is also a little bit of a mystery, and it's just good. The genre is good, so
Nice.
I think everyone should read it.
Jess, what are you reading?
I'm reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Working my way through it. I just finished 2 books that were on my need to finish list. So A Marriage Portrait and then one other one, but that's what I'm reading right now.
I love the need to finish list.
Need to finish. Will I? I don't know.
Real. Nice. Mike, what are you reading?
Let's see. I just finished the Banned Books Club by Kim Hyun-suk, which it's like a history of a banned books club in 1980s South Korea.
Whoa, okay, that's
Yeah, yeah.
nice. And I'm reading The End of Everything. It's a little, it sounds dark, but it's a science book about cosmology and how the universe one day, billions and billions of years from now, might end. So it's like kind of the latest research on what's going to happen to the universe in a very, very long period of time. So fun little, like kind of blows your mind type of book. But anyways. So yes, so please drop in your name, where you're from, and what book you're reading. So, all right. Aside from that, Ellen, do you want to start asking us questions?
Oh my gosh, so much. I'm so excited.
Nice.
So obviously, I think the big thing that we've launched this week is DMs. I think we're all very, very excited about it. So I just want to know if you can share why. Why did we decide to build this feature? Why is group chat? Why is DMs? Why are these important to us?
Good question. First of all, I think as a company, we've wanted to do it for a long time now. Like there have been discussions of DMs. And in fact, Mike, didn't you do a hackathon of DMs like a while ago?
Yeah, something around that.
Something like, yeah, anyway, so it's been on our minds. I think the big thing is that we have noticed that with book clubs are great for like structured conversations. And they're like very targeted at one book at a time. But if you're just like a group of friends and you just want to talk about books, like there wasn't really a space for that on our platform. And that felt like such an important part of your bookish life, is to not talk about just one book at a time, but also just like talk in general. And I think we kind of see that in the For You feed as well, that there's a lot of people who will talk about things that are not specifically about a book, but just like posting cat photos when the cat comes up on your lap when you're reading. Like those are the types of things that make us all readers and, identify in the bookish community. And so, yeah, it was kind of like filling that need. Jess, I'm curious, like, was there anything else that you can think of that was really part of the why?
Yeah, I mean, we were just seeing so much in clubs on, especially on the home feed, people saying, DM me on Instagram to talk further. And we're like, what? Like, that seems like such a strong need. And then one of the other things we kept seeing was in surveys we were running, people kept asking for more unstructured conversation in clubs and more stream of consciousness, kind of back and forth flowy conversation. And so we went through a lot of iterations of how much structure do we want this feature to have. And when it came down to it, we just wanted to kind of unleash some unstructured moments, just like Chris was explaining. So yeah, aside from that, it kept coming up in different ways. And it was really to fulfill a strong user need.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, great. So can you tell us just a bit more about how it works? Who can you message? What are the restrictions? What should users know about it?
Yeah, totally. If you haven't used it yet, definitely highly recommend to update your app. And then in the top right corner, there's kind of an entry point to your direct messaging inbox. It works similar to any other like DMs within other products. We definitely looked at a lot of other products and saw how their DMs work to just make sure that like when we build ours, it feels similar and it doesn't feel like you have to like jump through hoops to learn how to use it. So basically you can message anyone who follows you. So you can start a new conversation with any of those people. We thought about like, oh, it would be nice to be able to DM someone who doesn't follow you, but there's a whole lot of like privacy concerns and just like a whole lot of issues that comes with that. And so for now, we said, now we'll just make it people who follow you only. Then let's see what else. They can of course respond back, and you can have a nice back and forth chat. If for some reason something goes wrong, you can always like leave a conversation or report a message. We do have those tools available to you. You can also do group chat, so you can create a group chat of up to 20 people at once. So that's really exciting. I am now part of a Taylor Swift group chat, which has been really exciting. And let's see. I think that one other restriction that we built is that I don't know if y'all noticed, but we started asking everyone for their age a couple months ago, and that was kind of in the lead up to this. We really, we do have minors on our platform. We do have people who are younger than 18 years old. There's a whole host of like legal restrictions that comes to handling that in an appropriate way. And so for now, people who are younger than 18 don't have access to the feature. Hopefully one day we can build out like more protections so that we can bring the experience to those users. But yeah, for now, we kind of limited it to that.
Okay, thank you. And you've kind of already touched on this, like, why do we think people want this feature? What can you use it for? So I just, on a more personal level, what have you been using DMs for? What are the types of conversations you're having?
Good question. Yeah, Jess, Mike, feel free to chime in with any other additions. I know on my end, we've been using it at work, which is really fun to have those kind of group threads. We honestly, it's funny, like we talk to each other about what we do on the weekends. We send photos of like what we're up to on the weekend. And that's just really fun because like, yes, we're all here for books, but at the end of the day, like we're people who want to get to know each other and hang out. So that's one. One use case that I've seen that's really cool. So I mentioned the Taylor Swift group, which is like, hey, we all love books, but we also really love Taylor Swift. And so we want to talk. I did see one around, I think her name was Aisha, posted in the For You feed, that she started a Islamic literature group chat, and it was kind of open invite, anyone can join. But if you're interested in Islamic literature, it's not that they're going through book by book and having a book club with each book. They're just talking about it more broadly in general, and I thought that was like such an awesome use case for it. I think the other thing, honestly, is like as people in the community are bringing their friends onto the platform, like I think that's that's a scary proposition. Like, how do you welcome somebody into your space if you're inviting someone into Fable? How do you like help them learn about the platform? I think DMs are a nice way to do that. That you can set up group chats with your IRL friends to kind of have a space there as you're bringing people into a club or that type of stuff. So yeah. Any others?
I think like the opportunity, a lot of people will have sought out other formats to be like, we're reading at a faster pace than our club. Should we form like, a splinter club, or should we form this? And so they'll like kind of chat each other, like, I want to read this extra, which I think is a really nice way to utilize that with your different club members or people who are reading ahead with you.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like we see that a lot. People becoming friends through book clubs, but then if they start a different book club later on, and like having a space for them to just like DM each other and talk about like, is that something we want to do and start, and just like becoming better friends with the people that we're in clubs with. Yeah. Taking a look through some of the chat here. Venus, I'm glad that you appreciated that decision around only being able to message people who follow you. That's great.
Okay, a couple more questions about DM specifically, and then we'll dive into some of the questions popping up from all of y'all. Would love to hear maybe just what was challenging about this project for the team.
Good question. I'm sure Mike has some thoughts here. Mike, what was it like to plan this project?
Oh, fun. Because, we had a lot of wants and it was trying to say, okay, we want a lot of things for the community, but what can we build in a reasonable amount of time such that, we deliver them a good experience. So I think I had a lot of fun in just the actual planning and going back and forth and saying like, okay, what can we do? What can we do? And since I was the engineer who worked on it the longest on the native side, I was there for most of the discussions. So that was very fun to see from beginning to end.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we started planning this project, oh my gosh, back in the fall. It was a long project. There's a lot of like just edge cases to support and like screens to build and so much involved as part of that. One of the things that we decided early on, which I think sped up the project, is reusing the commenting UI that we have in the home feed and like basically reusing that for direct messages. If we had to build like a totally new like messaging UI, that would have made this project extend into the summer for sure. So that was good. I remember one of the tougher parts of group chat, I feel like, was handling scenarios of like what happens for a one-on-one chat versus a group chat. Like, let's say you have two people in a one-on-one chat. Can they add a third person? And does that third person get access to that history of your one-on-one chat? There's a lot of decisions like that where we really had to like think through like the privacy implications of a simple feature like adding a member to a chat. For context there, for a one-on-one chat, you can't add anyone to a one-on-one chat. You actually have to start a new group thread. So there's all sorts of things like that that we had to think through. Yeah.
On the UX side, it was quite complicated, especially with trying to scope it down. We were always like, Mike and I were always like going back and forth, like, can we do this? No, okay, well, what's the user goal? Like, what do people want? And how do we best deliver that to them with the least amount of developer time? So it was dicey at times, but I think where we ended up, it's like the best possible solution with like a really well-scoped timeline.
Awesome. So my last DM question is what, and I think you've touched on this, like we had to scope down, we had to kind of figure out the best way to do this. What were the trade-offs we had to make?
Good question. I remember one of the early thoughts was it'd be really interesting to have like being able to like tag a book in a chat thread so that like your group is like reading this book and it's a little bit more of an unstructured. I'd say the downside of that is like we never really fleshed out that idea to its fullest of like what could that be. But I think one thing that we realize is like people right now in the For You feed are wanting to connect with each other. And so we decided to scope that down to make sure that we just get this feature out the door sooner so that people can connect. And then over time we can, we know we can continue building on this in the future. That was one. I don't know, any others, Jess or Mike, that you can think of?
Pinning a book or like anything was a big, I think we really focused on community there. And I think that'll also allow us a platform for everybody like who's on the call right now to give us feedback on what do you want added. We didn't want to make the decision for everybody. So it's really opens up kind of a nice conversation. And I think in terms of the overall experience, we didn't really lose out on too much. We were able to keep most of the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as we scoped it, like at least in terms of like the final scoping, we didn't have to make any like major cuts, I guess. Yeah.
Well, also because we were bringing over a lot of logic from the already existing club chat, we had to, it was decisions like, do we need polls in direct messages?
Right.
Do we need the ability to have quotes? Yeah, those are some things.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
Okay, well, I think we can dive into some of these questions that y'all are sending through. I'm really excited for some of these. Still kind of touching on DMs, Venus asks if the possibility of adding members to chats will be available in the future. And she also mentioned just she knows a lot of people want to utilize it for book clubs specifically. And people are joining book clubs at any time.
Sure, let's see. So will the possibility of adding members to chats be available in the future? So right now, yeah, you definitely can add additional members to a chat. The way we designed it is that the creator of the chat is the only one who can add other people to that chat. And so just like check for that. If you're like in a chat that you realize you can't add members, it may be because you're not the creator. The other thing that I mentioned is that for one-on-one chats, you cannot add a third person to that chat. And again, that's kind of protect the privacy of that one-on-one history. So yeah, hopefully that answers the first part of the question. And then what was the second part of the question, Helen?
I think just recognizing that people want to utilize group chat for their book clubs. Venus
Yes,
also
yeah.
mentioned that like the limitation of 20 kind of puts a restriction on that because you can't add like a group chat just for your whole book club.
Yeah, totally. The limitation of 20, I think I saw another question around like, are we planning on ramping up that limitation of 20? Right now that's kind of, we put that in place because we didn't design the experience to like work well for a larger group. I think if you think about other apps that have like huge community groups, they have all sorts of like protections in place to make sure it's not at the end of the day like a very noisy experience and all that type of stuff. And so, I think the answer is potentially one day, like please, hearing this feedback is really helpful so that we can prioritize stuff like this. But I think it will require more, it'll probably require more than just lifting the cap above 20. I think we'll have to do some more work to make sure the experience is smooth. On the question of it'd be great to have a group chat for my book club, I actually love that question. I think that's like a really interesting one. Venus, I will say again, we are constantly like looking through the For You feed and like scouring for this type of feedback. I will say actually today I had some discussions on your feedback earlier. No answer right now, no hard decision on like what we're going to do, what our future plans are. Obviously, it all depends on, what other projects we have going on, all that type of stuff. I think the TLDR of like how we feel about this is at the end of the day, yes, it would be great for book clubs to have a live chat. The question is, should that live with the book club or should that live in direct messages, or should we add like your book club lobby into the direct messages part of the app? Like there's all sorts of different things that we could do. So it's helpful to hear that feedback. I don't have like a concrete answer for you right now, but hopefully that gives you a sense of like how we're thinking about that. At least very, very raw thoughts there.
Absolutely. And Venus, I just saw your other question come through. To do a group chat, you're going to do the same action. You'll just add multiple people from the very beginning, and then that'll start a group chat for you instead of just a direct message. So kind of moving on from DMs, Sophia asked, we have a selection for reading, finished, want to read. Could we have a selection that's focused on listening on Audible or listening audio?
Ooh, that's super cool. That's funny. Yeah, like right now, we haven't thought of like audiobooks versus ebooks versus print books as like tracking that differently. But I definitely like as we're building more experiences that help you like kind of share out like here's what I've read, I could absolutely see that being like really helpful and valuable to kind of piece together like where you focused on your reading. I would say we probably don't have any like short-term plans for that right now, but it's certainly an interesting one. And I'll take that feedback and discuss with the product team.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I think anything that our um, you know, status lists don't accomplish for you, that's why we're able to create those custom lists. And so you can absolutely create a list on what you've listened to rather than read if that is an important differentiator for you personally. I know I love the custom list because I need to track things in a very certain way. And if I can't do that, I get very anxious. And so I just really appreciate having that ability to do things like that.
Ellen, what's an example of like a custom list that you keep?
I have one for the books that I've read in 2024, and I know or any year, so I can easily go back and see what were the books I was reading this year. I have a list of all of the books that Obama recommended while he was in office, just because the man has good taste in literature. And I've had so many good experiences from reading those books. I look at books based on genre, but I just like to have little collections. Sometimes I have custom lists for gift ideas that are secret because my mom is on Fable. Isn't that cute? And so I have all these books that I want to get her. And so I definitely have a custom private list for books to send to my mom.
I love that. Nice. Oh, thanks for sharing. Interesting.
Yeah. So Rainbow asked, can we get a star rating with our monthly wrap-ups?
That's a good question. We actually, that might be a bug that's not working. I believe I think we've implemented it. It may be the case that we implemented that feature but didn't quite finish it before we shipped. But yeah, that's definitely something I'll look into. I think I saw somebody else post that what you can do is add like a bit of text on, at least this is for iOS, on monthly wrap. You can type in custom notes, and then you can add like what I do is like 3.5 and then the star emoji. So for now I hack it through that, but yeah, I definitely agree. We should have that.
Okay. And Angela asked or shared that she would love to see a club bookshelf that members can add their TBR and selections can be made from that shelf for future reads. So like a club TBR that
That's pretty
everyone
cool.
shares.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I guess we'd have like a list. I guess we could create like a list for your book club, and then multiple people can like add to that list. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, thanks for
I think
sharing.
just the idea of collaborative lists in general, being able to make a list with my best friend on the books we're reading this year and the books we think each other should read. I think that sounds really cool.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Okay. Christy asked this, and I think Jason might have answered in chat, but I want to discuss it here. Christy asked what happened to the currently reading section and the percentage of how you can see how much you've read. And I just want to note that Mike did share that we found that bug and we're expecting a fix to come out soon. So keep your eyes peeled.
Nice.
And we'll get that fixed for you. And then Venus had some more ideas. Some other feature ideas that would make the app greater is the ability to bookmark posts, adding exact dates to posts, and displaying the date we joined on our profile.
Oh, that's fun. Like a bookmark post, and then so adding exact dates to post, is that like adding a date that you like finished a book? So it's a different date from the date that you're posting?
My assumption here is it could be that we share like this was a couple days ago or this was 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
After
I
a
see.
certain part, we stopped saying like 1 day ago.
Right, right. Um, Interesting. I've never thought about that. I'd be curious to hear like what would be helpful to have the exact date. Like what would you look for and why would it be helpful? I don't think we had like a strong opinion that you shouldn't see a date there. I don't think it was like designed intentionally. So just curious, like, if we were to change it. And then ability to bookmark posts. Yeah, so right now on iOS, we do have the ability to see your liked posts, like the posts that you have liked. So hopefully that helps, but I know that that's like a little different from at the end of the day being able to bookmark. I know that's like a deeper action. I don't think we have plans for that right now, but it's helpful to hear, as always, like helpful to hear that would be like a good feature request for you. And then displaying date that we joined on our profile. Again, I'd love to hear. I think that's a really fun one because I don't know, it's fun to see like how long people have been in the community, whether you should like be welcoming them in if they're new. But I'd love to hear from you, Venus. Yeah, how you might use that, what the benefit might be for you. Jason said, I'm going to feel old if we display the date I joined Fable. I mean,
Oh,
Mike's been
God.
here for 4 years at the company. He's been around the longest out of this group. So yeah, real OG
Yep.
here.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
Yeah, we're here. Want to hear more.
I mean, I think while we're waiting to see if some more questions come in, something that I think, people on the call might want to know is what's on our roadmap. What are we working on next?
Ooh, spicy. What's on our road? That's a good
Mm-hmm.
question. Yeah, yeah. I probably won't say exactly what projects on our roadmap because it's always the case that with roadmaps they change. Like there's all sorts of things that come up. Um, but I'll share maybe like generally what are we thinking about? Like what problems are we trying to solve? So one of the areas that we're thinking about right now and working on is I think we've seen that with monthly wrap, like our reading wraps. We've just had like so much enthusiasm from the community for everyone to be able to like display here's this moment in time and here's what I read and kind of showing off like I don't know, just kind of like month over month trends with all of these reading wraps that people are posting month over month. And so, I think like being able to really look further back in time and see what you read, see different trends, that type of stuff. That's like one area that we're pretty actively working on. So excited about that one. Let's see. Another one that we're pushing on is we hear from all of you that Fable is a really nice way to discover new books. And that makes us very happy because that's like a very important thing for us, is like helping you find your next story that you're going to love. Right now, the community does such a great job with that. One thing that I think we can do more of, though, is giving you systems, giving you tools to help you find like the perfect next book for like all of your sub niches that you love. Like I have my own weird niches of like, I love like early aviation books and space, and I like Star Wars, and like give me stuff that like overlaps all those types of things. So yeah, just kind of like improving the tooling around how we help you discover and not just discover like book recommendations, but like really decide what's your next book going to be. So yeah, that's another area that we're like kind of working towards right now.
Love that. And Sophia mentioned when you were talking about trends, just that it would be really cool to display summary stats for trends of the month, I think for the community, like what were the most read books this month?
Oh, that's fun. Thank you.
Hmm.
Was it Sophia? Thank you for that recommendation.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's so great.
yeah. Yeah,
Um, also,
especially seeing Venus's message after that about like how the community has done wonders for many of us developing relationships. First of all, that makes that makes this all worth it. Like, thank you, Venus, for saying that. And that just like, I'm so glad that it does that. But I think that also speaks to Sophia's point about like, this community has its own identity, and being able to see like, what is this community reading and what are the interesting trends from this community? I think that would be really fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. And a question, Chris, I know you're gonna love.
Yeah.
What about dark mode?
Dark mode. That's a good question. Uh, So hopefully, like being on this call, you see that at the end of the day, we are all just we're also just regular people who read at night, and then we open up the Fable app and we have the same retinas. So we definitely feel some of the challenges there. The downside of dark mode is it's really hard to build, and it takes a lot of time. It's a type of feature that most basically you have to become like a big company to even build out a dark mode. So for now, right now, like we've been just focusing more on, there's so many community requests for like book related features, community related features. So we've been trying to prioritize those just to make the core experience feel better. So it's definitely not a no on dark mode. It's more of just, oof, that would have to, like, we would have to pause a lot of projects to be able to do something like that right now.
Okay, and it looks like those are all our questions. Any last minute questions that y'all are dying to hear? Oh, just Sophia, that's so nice. That's so nice. For those of you who aren't seeing it, she shared that the strongest quality of Fable is its community, and I absolutely agree. Y'all are awesome.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel so lucky that we have this group of people on our platform, because like it could have been a bunch of trolls, but like it's like the most amazing, uplifting, supportive people who are like kind to each other, and I just love that. Yeah. Oh, we had another
Oh,
question.
Venus, that's a good question. Venus is eager to know how we can access if we appear in the recommended by our editors section, and if so, what the caption says.
Oh, that's a good question.
Which I feel like might be a good question for Jason if he wanted to answer.
Oh, I just
It's
saw
okay if
Sophia's note.
not. Sophia, you're funny.
Um, yeah, in any case, maybe I'll pass that over to the product manager that owns that feature, that feedback.
And Jason said to email jason@fable.co.
Okay. Love it.
Okay. Well, it looks like that might be all of our questions. So I just want to say thank you for everyone who asked questions and who joined us today. I think this was, like Chris shared, this is the first time we've ever done this. So, I think you always worry, is anyone going to show up? And we're really glad you did, because it was great to connect with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and especially everyone who wrote in with feedback, suggestions. Like, this is super helpful for all of us. See you in the For You feed.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
All right. See you later. Thank you.